Good afternoon and welcome to Conversations at One. My name is Seidlitz Nkhonjera. I'm your host for this edition of Conversations at One. They say numbers don't lie, but in Zambian politics, the numbers can make your head spin. What am I talking about? We're marching steadily towards the August 13th general election, and the political temperature is officially reached its boiling point. Yesterday, it was just whispers and campaign rhetoric. Today, it's a bold mathematical declaration. Dr. Chris Zumani Zimba is making headlines and says that the secretary, who is the Secretary General of the Alliance, the Tonse Alliance, he's taken to the airwaves and featured on one of the TV stations, Diamond TV, and dropped a statistical bombshell. Now, according to Dr. Zimba, the local and international experts have done their homework they've run their baselines and concluded one thing, that Brian Mundubile is projected to win the upcoming presidential election by over 70%. Let that sink in. 70%. Dr. Zimba went a step further, taking a direct swipe at the ruling UPND. He claims that the party's momentum has dried up, and so far it is so severe that they can't even fill a stadium anymore, resorting instead to airport meetings with citizens. He insists that regardless of voter turnout, Mundubile's popularity makes this 70% victory an absolute certainty. But a projection is only as good as the reality on the ground. In a country with shifting regional dynamics, 70% victory, a calculated scientific reality, or is it just a high-level political, psychological warfare? Can the UPND really be written off this easily, or is the Tonse Alliance misreading the room? Let's unpack the mathematics of the Zambian politics today. Joining me on set is a resident analyst, Mabvuto Phiri. Mabvuto, good afternoon and welcome to Conversations at One.
It's always a pleasure. Good afternoon, Seth.
The man is known as Mabvuto Phiri by the government, but others prefer to call him as Teacher Paruro. He's also referred to as Mzee by our friends in the eastern side of Africa, and other people within Zambia on the western side prefer to call him Manyando. He has so many names, so many, that others call him chairman, others call him bishop, others call him so many things, but those are the things that I can manage to say on TV, because there are other names that are not TV friendly. But it's good to have you, Mabvuto. And today we are talking about 70%. Now, when we look at the conversation, let's start right there. A 70% win in a highly contested Zambian election is very massive. Now, the last time we saw numbers anywhere that, go back was in the early 90s. Now, from an analytical standpoint, how feasible is Dr. Zumani Zimba's projection for Mundubile? Is there a path to 70% for the Tonse Alliance?
From the time you shared the topic, I've been attempting to be able to calculate, and I'll start from where we're coming from, because literally this is a comparison. For instance, even with President Hakainde Hichilema having participated in 5 elections before 2021, you could tell that he could only amass 56% in the last elections, compared to about 38% of Edgar Chagwalongo. I'm thinking we have 2 individuals in the Tonse Alliance. One actually was a provincial minister, now is a running mate, and was rejected in his own constituency, despite having been a provincial minister. You know, it's an open secret what happened to Honorable Makebi Zulu in Eastern Province. He was Malambo MP. When elections came, he couldn't win. This was despite him having served as a provincial minister. So if I take you back to 2021, if we look at how the spreadsheet was, firstly, President Hichilema got about 2.8 million votes. You remember the popular 2.8, which amounted to 59%.
Yeah.
59.02%. Then Edgar Lungu got about 58%. When you check, and there was about
38%.
That's 38.7%, which is almost 39%. Anyway, when you look at these numbers said,
and the turnout was at 70%
yes,
of registered.
When you look at these numbers, obviously there was anticipation that 2021 elections, people were looking for change. People at some point had gotten tired with the PF. And you remember that the largest in terms of this 50% were the young people that turned up. You remember there were certain centers such as the university where students would even go and queue up in gowns. Those that had graduated would also go, and therefore I'm thinking if there was this 2.8 and we had about 16 candidates, not so, that participated in this election. Fairly so, if you look at this year's elections, there's a reduction of about two candidates.
We now have 14.
Yes, we now have 14 candidates. So for me, I'm thinking if you were to spread it, and there've been different candidates that have been on the ballot before that are even closer to the people as presidential candidates. You are aware Kalaba took part in that election. He had a decent, I think, and fair participation in that particular election. He's come back to be able to participate. For me, I'll take it as an illusion to claim that 70% could be a possibility. One, first of all, let's look at the factors. For me, even with this Tonse Alliance, most of these political parties, a number of them, emerged out of the PF. If the PF was on the ballot, I would have said maybe. But already, even with a lack of consensus within the existing political parties that emerged out of the PF, for somebody to come and claim, or they'll be able to get 70%, I'm questioning, first of all, what methodology was used, what system was used to be able to arrive at that. And once that information is shared, I don't know, I didn't watch the program myself where I featured, but I would have asked him and I would have loved to be able to engage him in terms of what kind of methods they used. Because literally, if you go out there and meet the UPND, for them, they're focused now beyond 2.8. Their language is that they want to focus on getting 5 million possible voters in these elections. So for the Tonse Alliance to have come to the Zambian people and tell them, okay, their projection is 70%, what's the method that they're using? Where have they been? And we're talking in the face of reported 70 plus constituencies, them not having fielded candidates. What does it imply? It implies that literally they don't even have structures on the ground to be able to help a presidential candidate amass the required vote. So for me, if you were to fully ask me to say, is it possible? Daydreaming is allowed, and possibly so even in politics. But also for us as a media, we should be quicker to be able to interrogate in terms of what method are people using, how did they arrive at this number. But anyway, it's more of a publicity stance for me in terms of wooing people to say, believe in us, we already have the numbers. And said excitedly, so this is coming at the backdrop of only Tonse Alliance having 2 rallies. Already we are being told they'll get 70%. I was made, and you can't blame me, I was made to start also daydreaming that possibly the time they will have a 3rd rally, they'll start telling us that now the numbers have increased, they are at 75%. By the time they get to the 10th rally, they would have literally told you that they are getting 100% based on the people that are attending these rallies. But I indicated to you yesterday that a true test, I've not seen it, with them because they haven't been beyond the railway, the line of rail in terms of holding their rallies. The day they'll be in Shangombo and the day I'll see a possible split between, because right now they're moving as a team, but the reality at some point dawns where you have to split. One candidate will have to be on another side and another candidate to be on the other side. And when you look at the numbers, but again, like I was saying, what are the methods they are using to be able to sustain these numbers of the people that are attending their rallies? So there are all these semantics. There's been failure to be able to harmonize themselves as members of the opposition, considering that they are coming from one yoke, which is the PF. Honorable Galawa came from the PF. Honorable Mundubile has equally come from the PF. We've also seen another portion of the PF going to join the UPND. The first group was that of Honorable Chavinga that went to join the UPND in an alliance. And then now we have Honorable Mausa and Panchari Banda going to join the alliance. Therefore, I don't literally see them even keeping that 38%, 38% they had in 2021 as splitter groups, because obviously one has moved with 10, other one has moved probably with 5, the other one has moved with 6. So for me, what we should have been having this conversation if we saw a united opposition, it could have been possible. But in the manner they are in, very fragmented, they'll even be lucky to get 25% based on the projections.
I'll take you back to the first slide when we look at 2021 and how Zambia voted, in that particular election. Now, President Hakainde Hichilema was well over 50%,
yes.
Scoring 59.02%. And in this particular election, Dr. Zimba was President Lungu's political advisor. And in one of the interviews that he has given, he says he had told the president
that they were losing,
that they were going to lose this particular election. So
now he's telling them that they're going to win.
So from a person that has, been in the political arena for a while now, I'll talk of Dr. Zimba, and for a political scientist that he is, for him to say those numbers, could it not be, especially that they've engaged international teams and inclusive of local teams to do these mathematics? Could it not be possible that their mathematics, is genuine? And also by suggesting that he is saying that the UPND will have lost about 30% almost of its popularity for their numbers to tally to 70%. So has the UPND lost 30% popularity, and has the opposition, in this case it's a rebranded PF in the NRPUP, gained?
No, portion of the PF.
Portion of the PF, yes. How has it gained? I know you've talked about how the PF has split into 3.
We are talking about individuals that have not been tested at any level of election. It's impossible.
They say they would use the participation in the Chawama election. I was talking to,
but Chawama election was not them. It was FDD.
They say it was the Tonse Alliance.
No, but FDD has been there for a long time, because our electoral system or process doesn't allow the existence or participation of alliances in an election. So they had to pick a special vehicle that they used to participate in that election. And when you look at that, over time, my concern is these are people that, yes, in their own right, they've been tested at parliamentary level. They are coming to a presidential election for the first time. And I'm hitching, and I'm hoping that one day when they're in the northwestern, western, or southern, you invite me, and then we begin to dissect and look at the numbers. Because if you look at even just the by-elections, it was within these 5 years that, for instance, UPND got its first member of parliament in Muchinga province, if you remember. And that by-election, we saw what happened. It was quiet, people went to vote peacefully, and people were happy, and they voted. And even with these by-elections, you could see one thing I'll tell you said that I think that has been impressive so far with the UPND. I didn't see the president in Chawama, did we?
No.
Yes. So you could tell that the UPND has given a chance and a responsibility to its structure to be able to deal with this. And that's why, and I would have loved Dr. Zimba to have forgotten and ignored it, not focusing on where the president is, meeting his party structures and adopted candidates and meeting him. Himself made it very clear, as President Hakainde Hichilema, as a leader of the UPND, I'm planting the seed. Once this is done, then we go for rallies. We've not seen, apart from the Tonse Alliance, any political party. I think just a fraction of it. I saw yesterday, First Citizen President, I think he must have been in Kanyama, where I was campaigning. For me, said, one thing that would have happened is that if the opposition had come together, worked together, harmonized their numbers. But clearly, even before the election, I see a split of the votes. And they'll end up confusing people, because today they're there. And in these areas where, for instance, the Tonse Alliance has been under the held rallies, I can tell you, said, even me as Mabvuto Phiri, if I went there, I would even get more numbers than them. Yes.
Let me bring you to
because you see the what is there. These are line of rail. People will always want to go and listen to what the leaders are saying. People would want to sit and see. Because even the messaging, yes, I've seen there were about 10 points that were presented there. Kasenseri will be given back to the Jelabos, the farmers will be given. But I think the messages are not properly quantified in terms of how this will be able to translate into development among the people. You know, by the end of the day, people want something they'll be able to touch and feel. And clearly, there are politicians, they're issuing these statements. But I can tell you, to areas where they've been, and partly after other political parties go to these areas, the Tonse Alliance will feel very bad, and the optics would have changed. For me, they need just to focus on campaigning and reduce on talking. Focus on what they will be able to do for Zambian people, rather than making just getting excited with the pictures, sitting to analyze the pictures. Let them get the actual voters to be able to push for those numbers.
Yes. Dr. Zimba, didn't just talk about his candidate's strengths. He went hard against the incumbent UPND. That the ruling party cannot get 5 million votes, and he also mocked them for holding meetings at airports. He says because the UPND is no longer popular, President Hichilema has been going to every part of Zambia and can only manage to hold events at airports with few people, watching.
But also, he's a strategist and a social scientist, if I'm not mistaken. And a political scientist, rather, said there should be proper understanding. The UPND have got their own strategy they're implementing. So you haven't been in their bedroom. They know what they're doing. For me, I think what is important is for the Tonse Alliance to be able to outline their programs in terms of how they intend to govern. They need to be able to look at the youth vote. You remember in the last election, young people turned up to go and vote. How are they going to convince them, especially students in universities who at one time, and I'm aware that in the last 5 years, if you look at the UPND government, a number of universities have been added in terms of accessing the allowances, the students' allowances. We've seen a couple of universities that have been added. Now we're talking about skills development in a number of colleges. For me, the question has been, what is the alternative to be able to quantify and to get to 70%? Zambians will just wake up and say, today we want change. Change is failed. But I don't think, even me as an analyst, during this period, I felt that particular change, that there's a change probably coming. Because, yes, we saw the numbers in Kabwe, we saw the numbers in Quito, but there's still a long way to go, Seth. Yeah.
Let's get to our inbox before we look at, before we get to our inbox, let's look at the dynamics of the election that we are getting into this August and look at how many registered voters there are,
Yes.
and how these numbers are split between female voters as well as male
So we're talking
voters.
about, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 8.7.
Yes.
Yes, of registered voters.
8.7 million. Yeah.
Yes, and when you look at this, the majority of this, I think about 50 plus, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 53% are women, and also the young people coming in second position. Then you have the men ourselves who are usually campaigning. And when you see in terms of participation at that presidential level, of the 14 candidates, you only have one woman. And then in terms of running mates, you only have 3. So it's possible. I was trying to balance the equation and see where we'll get where to get what, but it's a mammoth task for the opposition. As long as they opted to go in this fragmented format to make any meaningful impact, it will be very difficult. I've seen it before.
With regards to communication, I know you have, given your objection, or rather objective, with regards how you think they should, communicate to the Zambian people. But if an opposition political party is to take power from a party that is in power,
A lot needs to be done.
what do they need to do?
I think rallies are just an addition to rallies are just a motivation said. It's like wedding. Turamona fye babi kama flowers at palapala aba wedding. And that's what exactly happens with rallies. To say, okay, this is our presence. This is what we are capable of doing. But I don't think there's been a lot of communication in terms of public engagement, campaigning. I think with the efforts that the UPND are doing so far, the Tonse Alliance should have doubled those efforts in terms of campaigning. We should have seen a lot of flyers. We should have seen a lot of candidates. We should. It should be of concern said that you want to take power from the governing political party and then you fail to field in over 70 constituencies. It's a problem. Because where are you basing your argument on? Then also you haven't been to other parts of the country to be able to evaluate in terms of what the feedback of the people is.
How feasible is the other claim, or rather target, that the UPND, for example, has given themselves? They say they want to attain 5 million votes in this particular election.
What we've seen is that, for instance, we're talking about 5 or 6 members of parliament that have gone unopposed. Literally, that simply means that they're in charge of those constituencies. So even before the race has started, they already have members of parliament.
But
if parliament was to resume tomorrow, who would have the presence in parliament? It's only the UPND at this stage. So those who have won already have enough time either to join the presidential campaign or to go back to their because there will be no competition. So if there are 10,000 houses, I can even walk from house number 1 to the last house, encouraging the people to say, you made the right decision, so vote now for the president. So, said, in these constituencies, and previously, I think Southern has gotten 4 or 3. If you look at Southern, I think I was seeing yesterday, we were speaking about how much votes they got, about 95% from Southern, the PF. Then, with a lot of resources at their disposal, they're only able to get 5%. So, already if I'm a member of parliament today, I go there and campaign. Even in the North Block, I think where these, because if you look at the tones in terms of leadership, you're talking about the North and the East. The UPND have gotten some seats at local government level in the East, where Elvis Nkando has been heavily campaigning. So for me, I think it's difficult said as the opposition to claim that you're going to win with 70%. Even in the aftermath of already the UPND having certain members of parliament being elected and challenged. A serious opposition should have been fielded somewhere. For me, even when I analyze, I don't even see possibly if we will go to a second round. Because what we're anticipating said is 50 plus 1. The candidate must be able to win 50 plus 1. But if you look at the numbers that we're showing, we're talking about 59% of what President Hakainde Hichilema got in the last election. So minus the 8, he had 8 additional percentage in that particular election. Are you telling me that he has already lost this 8% above the 50%? It's impossible.
But if the voter is not satisfied with the performance of the UPND, it is possible that there might be some value, some numbers lost if the voter is not satisfied with performance. The issue now is by what margin is the dissatisfaction, and also
that's what we need to begin to analyze. Which people are not happy. I can tell you and be able to categorize. Firstly, the people that are not happy, we've gotten it from these election campaigns. One of them, partly we're told the motivation why the Tonse Alliance exists is because 3/4 of their people have been, some of their people have been arrested, and possibly they want power to be able to come and pardon some of these leaders. But the people that are seemingly pushing for this regime change are the people that lost an income in politics. Because the only thing that HH as the president of the Republic of Zambia under the UPND came to do was to tie the leakages in terms of public resources. We are coming from a background said where we saw $100 being banned, being used to put up a brazier. And when President Ichidema came, I think these are some of the things they closed. And people feel they've lost that economic power. Even when they were not working, they were in bed, they would still make money because they were aligned with a certain political party. For me, these are the only people that I see, even on social media, possibly pushing for regime change. Yes.
All right. Dr. Zumani also made a very interesting, caveat. Projection. He said, regardless of the voter turnout, the projection stands because of Mundubile's popularity. Historically, we know that the voter turnout, especially in stronghold areas, is everything in Zambia. Now, can any alliance confidently predict a 70% landslide?
But said one thing. These are said. I'll still insist. You can't claim dominance when you've never been tested. And when you argue, yes, let's see, I'll injure a bit on my brother, Council Magebizulu, provincial minister, MP for Malambo. He was a provincial minister, but he ended up losing a constituency. So where are you basing this query and your arrogance even in asking me to say, no, but this is their dominant? They've never been tested. Where they've been tested previously, they failed even a constituency. Yes. And that's my argument. Well, Eastern Province, for instance, how would it be possible if the two of them, okay, let's say they share. Honorable Mundubile goes up north, Honorable Makebizulu goes to the east. What would be the message? What would he tell the people of Malambo who at parliamentary level rejected him? You remember there was a video going around, I think it even resurfaced now, where President Lungu was standing and asking, do you know this man? You heard what people said? Outrightly no. Yet he was their provincial minister. He said, we'll get to the true optics and the realities of the numbers. Even that's 70%. One day you come and tell me that you've subtracted the 40. Yes.
Let's get to our inbox and see what the viewers are saying this afternoon. Our question is, how possible is this? Mundubile to win by over 70%. Dr. Zumani Zimba, Secretary General at the Tonse Alliance, has said. Now, this is the inbox. Chris Zumani Zimba predicts Mundubile will win by 70%. This comes from the huge crowd in Kitwe and Makululu. Well, 13th August is coming. Mukandila and Zumani shall petition HH's landslide win. Makebi will go back to his law firm. BM8 will be broke, and the end of Tonse Alliance. Kayombo in Lukulu. All right, let's look at another message. When are you bringing presidential live debates on your station? W. Katongo from Lusaka. W. Katongo, we will make that announcement in due course. We are working round the clock to see that we feature these candidates. That's wishful thinking. He is going to lose by that margin. Uncle Davis from Lusaka. Thank you, Uncle Davis, for your message. Good afternoon. With God, nothing is impossible. He can use anyone or anything. This message has no name and location. Please remember all the time to include those two critical parts of information. Good afternoon, Said. Zumani was a political advisor to late ECL. May his soul rest in peace. Remember, the late Said, he will hand over power to himself because Zumani was misleading him. MS from Dollar. All right, thank you, MS, for that message. Winning by over 70%. It's a puzzle. We hear they have failed to feature 76 parliamentary seats. Also in chairperson mayoral councillor seats. Where will presidential votes go to in areas, the Mundubile Makebi Chimbuya alliance? Imagine, no lady running mate. It's men's alliance. Women are majority voters. 70% is a tall order. AM MK Chitambo of Kabwe. Thank you very much for that message. All right, this message now reads, good afternoon. Mundubile winning is daydreaming, and talking about him winning by 70% is madness for me. BP from Kasama. Thank you, BP, for that message. Good afternoon, panel. First, let's look at the Zambian pattern of voting. In Zambia, most of the time, we unanimously vote because we want change. So my question to Mabvuto, what is the current situation generally? DMN from Kafue. Right, thank you very much, DMN, for that message. All right, this message now reads, good afternoon. Politicians say and promise what people want to hear, but they know they are cheating. Mundubile knows his PF moved prisons and ZRI HQs to Lusaka and failed to revitalize Mlungushi textiles. He deliberately avoided talking about the misappropriation of the Euro bonds, about brutality, colorism, tribalism, regionalism, and hate speeches during PF reign of terror. He avoided explaining why PF is campaigning before burying ECL, why the late King Pezeni was buried before ECL, why should we go back to using paraffin lamps to toli, whilst the rest of the world has moved to the use of electric bulbs and fluorescent tubes. Kimaswabi Luli, Siriro Maswabi of Mongu. All right, thank you very much, Bosiriro, for that message. Good afternoon, panel and conversations at 1. Regarding the topic, the answer is impossible. Zumani can't judge the UPND based on part meetings when the UPND has not even started their rallies. What Mr. Mundubile is pulling is equal to what Honorable Nkandu Elvis can do. DK from Kabompo, Blue Land. All right, let's get to another message. Good afternoon, people of God. May be the grace of God in 2031, not now. Our rebel HH is scooping by 100%. Watching from Livingston, Matakala, Sidilo, W. Thank you very much for that message. All right, there's so many messages. We'll try to see what we can read so that we can accommodate more contributions. Because when we put you on phone, you want to speak for 3 minutes or 4. It's not about structures. The problem with Mr. Mabvuto Phiri has a biased analysis on whatever issues is brought to be discussed on this program. Let him bring out a balanced analysis. The Tonse Alliance are serious with what they are doing. Why not getting that percentage? The entire PA for Mabvuto has gone with Mundubile and Makebi. Be realistic to yourself. You'll be shocked. This is Bicton Banda from Lundazi. Thank you very much for that message.
And I'm told the alliance will be in Lundazi this week.
Good afternoon, panel. How did Dr. Zumani Zimba arrive at the percentage of 70 win in the forthcoming elections? Otherwise, we may take it a political language as usual. SC from Teji Teji. Good afternoon, Said. Nice topic this afternoon. This is a perception. Listening to the interview of Charity Banda, you can tell that Zumani is a propagandist. Is he not the one who told the nation that Tonse had filled all parliamentary seats, which was not the case? In some parts of the country, the Tonse has not fielded. That is why it is an illusion. He's anticipating for a position in the event the unlikely happens. These people are good at propaganda. Imagine, as a way of massaging themselves, they were saying close to 1 million people were in attendance. From where? Because the population of Kabwe is about, all right, I think he corrected this message. He said it's about 250,000. Mundubile kusabaila kwa fula. Kusabaila kwa fula. Mundubile, be sober to yourself. Wakumwamba ndiye aziwa zonse. Mundubile, continue dreaming. Put your manifesto in public. W.A. Elina from Lundazi. All right, thank you very much for those messages. It's not possible Mundubile cannot win this coming election, but be rest assured that 2031 he will. He just has to work and work even after the loss to 2031. Mova, known as Shilumono from Monze. Thank you very much. Elections are won in the ballot box, not by the crowd. So 70% for Mundubile, I doubt it. M.H. Makeni Lusaka. How come Mundubile is covered by ZNBC if there is no opposition as claimed? NYB from Choma. All right, thank you very much for those messages. We'll try to pick some calls as well, but please remember to be brief so that others can contribute as well. All right. Hello, good afternoon. Bwana Mulibwanji, Mr. Banda.
Haya mwana kabulu nasema gracia. Nakuuza kwani pesa kwa sote masoma ni pesa. Roho na Nkhonjera.
Kusagirire nzigo.
Yake apiri macho mabuno buno.
Bwino bale wanga kaiwo bwanji.
Achoma hiyo. Tufuno kamba. Njo funo foto kwa kuti mavoti ni zona yafulinga kuti kuvotera ni zona. Koma uja ungana akamba paja wa 50 kwacha. Afadaleza 250. Ndana na bulako. Adi ndani na pasako. Wose butawale yayi. Wose tamangira kuma numbers yayi. Yani pa ground gudo watu chikoto kamba hapa kwa Nkhonjera. Can you apologize people? Utino paja pandu paja tina atambo zvintu apa tipitirize robalo kwa patichiteso. Wazonana pili ikota gudo napo bisamweka. Fadaleza uzabala pa 250. Then ufa zabala pa 50 kwacha. 50 kwacha ufa debula. kulibe mwando limbikira ibe free education monga poti niweyamba ayola la CDF game changer mukamba mweka ti game changer CDF kodi ufa utamna fotokoza uja kwa 50 kwacha na fataleza 250 pana kuko ndani utiuza pa TV kuti no vya vindu zinapitiriza zinafikiza amena foto makorazi kumali tikuyankheni utiuza apa kapita uja ufa 250 kwacha na 250 fataleza ana kulako ndani poti fataleza inapita increase chako niyo dula malasha ibatoka pa jana lili pa 40 kwacha malasha yaenda 500 kwacha mulusaka manje tienda kutapita vose votendi vikambe tienda ukampeni apoti vandu mwina nkakakuvotereni ziko kwambiri sana kuti
Abanda mukalipoenda mwaivela topic ya lero
topic nyandale Nkhonjera eti zimangaliza ndale osatizo tizibwerera kumbule yayi ningani ya mnduile na akainde wasira.
All right, ziko
kwambiri.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Afternoon, how are you, sir?
Very fine, thank you. What is your name and where are you calling us from?
Mr. Banda calling from Eastern Province.
Mr. Banda, please go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to add my voice on the topic that for those that are claiming to win by over 70%, for me, my advice is that they should leave a room for disappointment because politics is a game of science and mathematics. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Banda, for that contribution. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
All right, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Mzee.
Kamsonda, mbona tumena pisa?
Kirenda ukuri wa UPND basentirero kawa.
Namwe mfa topic kilipo wa Msonda.
Nati.
Murenda poshani pa topic yo turenda pa.
Turenda kuya kuwa babombeshe se ba UPND. Apaga ile kratwari Afrika se babombesha namba tekani.
Okay.
Namba tekani to batiri ba IPF apati na tafia tiki apatule vika pofe Mundubile.
All right. All right, thank you very much for that contribution. Hello, good afternoon.
Brother, how are you?
Very fine, thank you. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I have not followed you from the beginning. You're talking about winning by 70% by Mundubile.
Yes, according to Dr. Zimba, Zumani Zimba, he says that the Tonse Alliance through Brian Mundubile will win by 70%, over 70%.
The truth is, what Zumani Zimba is doing and it also, they are preparing the minds of their people. So that when the results come out, they should dispute them. That's what they are doing. Because you can't make such a projection without facts. So far, they have not shielded in many consciences, not even councillors, not even mayors and the council chairperson. So would help them to get that 70%. That's where the problem is. So it's just preparing their people so that they start preparing for disputing the election to cause an unnecessary dispute after results are announced. The truth is, my friend, no normal person, no white person, as the GBM has said, Dr. GBM has said, can vote against UPN and President Nkhonjera. Okay? Currently, there is a law regarding free education where PF themselves failed to support.
All right.
If someone was a teacher, I tell you, imagine you are in a class, you are teaching a class of 50 children, and the parents, the PTA and the school authorities, they remove those children because they have not paid. Now those things are normal. Can really a normal parent who wants a future for his child vote against such a government that has delivered free education? Look at how many young people have been employed. All those can vote against UPN. If in opposition, he could beat them with over 1 million. Now that is in the power, really, can you lose to Mundubile, who failed this country, and Makepe Zulu, whose names are even indented in the eyes of the international community? We have all this what we have today because President Nkhonjera resonates well with the international community.
That's why we have a lot of investor confidence and all these other things. Should we go back to the people who almost brought this country down in all angles? I don't think even the international community is going to be merciful to us. They want to be such, even the good Chinese, and in the end of PF, they've even folded their arms. Zambia, I think the UPS just needs people who can engage the people and tell them the truth of where we come from and where we are now. That's what UPS needs to do. I thank you.
I thank you very much for that contribution. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, thank you. What is your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Frederick from Chawama Direct.
All right. Please go ahead, Frederick, with your contribution.
Yes, I think in Kambeko Zimba.
Kambani Pwano, Frederick.
Mundubile swanga win my election. Year 2026. Very difficult because Balipe na council, Balipe na MP na chaka. Yes, on Balipe. Now, Boro taking over by HH. Banaru win my election now 1 point something. Batari maningi. Maybe 2031. Tukaona pamela banachita. Siko mwambili. 2026 20 na by HH 40.
All right, thank you, Frederick, for that contribution. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, thank you, sir. What is your name and where are you calling us from?
Mr. Abraham Monga calling you from Kafir Gorge, Southern Province.
Thank you very much for your call. Please go ahead and give us your contribution, sir.
In fact, the topic for Yamba, Sina Nkarebo Muri Bwanji Benanguba, Namui Varani,
Tiribuino
Mabvuto.
Tiribuino Sokole.
Aba Mundubile bamene bakamba hivyo. Noti manje. Kulibanga bapase mavota wa Mundubile. Banga nkareko bantu timberera kuti kulali kwa vota pezekako ta yanga timbera che bamene bakamba. But vote in secret yako na mabenefits yao na pesa in secret yako. Makash for work machana ya social cast transfer especially na bantu wanasitua ad. Ni bambiri maningi they cannot fail to vote HH. So ni kamba wache kuma supporters by UPNDs 1070 pamoja by HH tubatandi zili. Noti tizibareka chibeka bakampena so chabe. Tistifu na kuluzinga vote ili yonse ngakale kuli neba. Kuti mu streets mu hospitals 10 olori ku bedside 10 campaign by HH so that saruzinge vote ili yonse siko msebenze bwe.
All right, Zikomo Kwambili, this is likely our last call. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, thank you. What is your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
Peter Mwango calling you from Ndola.
Thank you, Mr. Mwango. Please go ahead.
Ndefo kulanda kufepaliyo ya kuwina 70% kuri wa Zumani. Ambao nicho ningawe wa Zumani chakwe bati Mundubile kuwina kwena bale wina. Badi tuiwa ikwata confidence sana yakwe bati tuwala wina 70%.
All right. Hello. And that line has dropped. Please do try to call back Mr. Monga. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
Very fine, thank you. How are you?
Oh, okay. So, how are you?
We're good. Please let us know your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Makalanga Elvis calling you from Luansha.
Thank you very much. It's been a while. Please go ahead and give us your contribution.
Yes. You know, it is dangerous to start swimming before reaching the river.
All right.
That's why wise people say they don't sell dreams. You know, I'll start with the rally which was in Ndola, which was in Kitwe last week. That was a collective of all the 7 towns of Copperbelt. Including my neighbors, my friends from Luansha, they traveled going there. And it's not even possible for Mr. Zumani to think of 70%. From where? When we observe the unity that is happening in the country, everything is in order. I'm sure we'll be doing it vice versa. To me, 70% should be for HH. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for that contribution. And we'll end our contributions from there because time has really, flown by quite fast.
You should be reading those also on Facebook. People get annoyed.
I think that deliberately we have the messages showing as the show was progressing. So thank you very much to everyone that has joined us, and to you that has been commenting on Facebook. I hope today is better because the messages are scrolling on screen. No change of government this August is one of the messages that is showing on screen. Put it at 100%, and there's a laugh there at the end of that contribution. All right. There is Mundubile can't win is another message that is on our Facebook page. And let's see. All right. Mundubile is winning, not even 70%, but 98%. All right. That's a very, very bold statement. HH is life president is another message that is on our social media. Thank you very much to you that has managed to send us those messages on social media as well. HH2 2091. Right, that is another message on our social media platform. I'm sure Mundubile can win. Right, that's great messages that are coming on our online platforms. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Right, I cannot really see that. Mabvuto Phiri.
Mabvuto and said, this is the same Zumani who made late President Lungu to lose.
All right. You're not even reach 1 million votes. That is another message on our Facebook. All right. Thank you very much to you, Mabvuto. Thank you for your time. And we do hope that we can have our final conversation on Friday. But we are back again tomorrow with yet another topic that we can look at as of tomorrow.
Thank you, Sid.
All right. Good afternoon, and God bless you.